Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Hank Show. And we're going to have another great session today. You're going to love this. We have Marty Elberg. Good morning. Hello, Marty. Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Dr. Hank Show. And, you know, what we do here is we really help people to expand their imagination, their thinking. I'm a mental scientist, and we know that thoughts become things. And it's been proven by all the sciences in the last 5 years. And Marty is an excellent expert at a bucket list and developing a bucket list. So we're going to talk about that today. And what I'd like you to do is really take notes on it and, you know, think on where, what your bucket list is and the different things that Marty and I discussed. That there will be some golden nuggets here for you, I guarantee you. So Marty, tell me, how did all this start? What came, where'd the bucket list come from?
Right, exactly. So a few years ago, I was sitting in a business conference, and really just everything's going through my head except for why I was supposed to be at that business conference. Like, I'm too busy to be away from the office.
Yeah,
I don't have time to take off. Everything, even, you know what? Oh, lunch. I ate too much at lunch, and these pants don't fit quite right. So literally everything except for why I was at the business conference, which is to learn about my business and how to grow it.
Yeah.
And the MC announced the next speaker as the bucket list guy, Trav Bell. So he is the bucket list guy. He's been traveling around talking about bucket list life and how to improve your life by having a bucket list, writing down your goals, fulfilling on your goals, your personal, professional, community goals. So I just latched onto that. And have been just kicking ass ever since then on my bucket list items and helping other people do so as well.
That's awesome.
So that's how it came about. And I maybe it was a midlife crisis at the same time. I don't know, just turning 50 around that time. So.
Yeah. Well, what I love about this is, and the reason why the magic, and like you say, hey, you know, things have really started to go for you, is because whatever our joy is, whatever our desires is, that's our higher power telling us, hey, this is what we want to get into together. This is what you've been telling us about it, and not doing this work stuff, if you will. And, you know, we're told to keep on doing work, do. And then one day we wake up and we got do in our life. And so
exactly. Yeah.
We want to stay away from that. So that's awesome. And I love how you started it. And so can you share with us first just on, you know, what type of bucket list items that you have been able to realize because of your mental focus on, hey, bucket list, I like that, and I want to go after it.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of personal development over the last several years. So before the bucket list stuff, and now after the bucket list stuff, even more.
Good.
And I've always heard these gurus talk about, find more purpose in life, get happier in life, and really know step by step of how to actually do that. You know, if you just go up to somebody and say, hey, do you have purpose in your life? They'll say, I work, I take care of my family. Okay, how do you get more purpose? How do you get more meaning and satisfaction out of life? I don't know, do things I like. Okay, well, what are those things? I don't know. So the bucket list really provides a roadmap on how to get there. So, you know, a couple of the categories, build relationships. There have been studies that show that people with strong relationships are happier in life, and they live longer, happier lives. So a Harvard study, I think they've been studying the same group of guys for over 75 years now. It's just fascinating, the results they're getting. And the number one thing across all of the demographics is they have good relationships, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a relative, or just anybody. It doesn't even mean that they have to be see each other every day, but just as long as they've got somebody that can listen to them, that'll listen they'll listen to each other, and really talk about things. That's one of the biggest things. So build relationships, awesome. Number one.
Yeah. So in order to be able to fulfill your bucket list, that is it that the items on the bucket list really start with relationships, or is it if I have good relationships, I can start achieving more by a bucket list?
Right, because who doesn't want a bucket list, buddy, to
Yeah.
achieve their items or tick these things off of their bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So that's the relationships is a great start. It also helps you, and just kind of like what you said, it accelerates your success by leveraging others to propel you forward. So, you know, the more people we have in our corner, the better we're going to do. The more people we tell about our goals, the more we're likely to succeed on them. If I tell you I'm going to go lose 30 pounds, now I've got it out there. If I write it down, you know, I'm going to be ripped, you know, written down. I see it. I see it. If I write it down every day, it even reinforces it more. It's kind of like the whole phenomenon about if you buy a red car, you start seeing red cars everywhere. And that's how writing your goals down works. You write down what your goals are, and then you start looking for that. Your subconscious looks for it. And you suddenly start achieving goals, which is why people that write down their goals are, I think it's 75% more likely to succeed in achieving their goals.
Harvard Business Study did that too, is, you know, what differentiated people, and they used income primarily, but also some other success factors. But it was like people with no goals basically didn't have had no money, and people with, you know, some general kind of goals had a little, you know, money and not really too much savings, a little bit more specific goals that they, you know, were well to do, and those with written specific goals. I actually like using a softer word, and that is desires. And that's kind of where the bucket list comes in too, is that in that bucket list, I assume that bucket list all came from the movie. Is that correct? Is that where, like, even your buddy, you know, the person?
It's a good spin-off, and that's what we use to really introduce it. It's like, you've heard of the movie The Bucket List, right? It's these guys that they get this cancer diagnosis, and they have 6 months to live. And they write down this list of everything they wanted to do. And a lot of people think of bucket list as travel, and that's really what most people limit themselves to, or allow themselves to dream about, is some travel. But it's really everything. And if you really look at that list that they created, and one of the biggest things that kind of touches me, because I have grandkids now, is kiss the most beautiful girl in the world. And that's when Jax finally gets to meet his granddaughter, and he gives her a kiss and checks it off the list. People choked up about that, you know? It's simple things like that. It doesn't have to be spending thousands of dollars on this extravagant vacation. It can be simple little things that you've always wanted to achieve. So how
do you develop that list then, Marty? That you know, where do I start? Because you know, I, of course, I'm the happiness and success coach, so I help people to become happy and successful, and I channel from divine intelligence answers and solutions for people. And what I find is that most of us don't know what the heck we want. You know, we kind of think we know what we want, and, you know, the first, you know, a couple of easy ones is, hey, I want more money, and money definitely it can provide more freedom and more choices, but again, it's really not what makes the soul happy. And so, how do you help people to identify what really they do want?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was talking about when we first started talking. It's a lot of people, the philosophy of happiness. Okay, great. How do I get there? I know I'm not.
All right.
How do I get there? So I've built the bucket list roadmap. And the first letter I already gave you was B, build the relationships. And then we do unplug. Feed your mind, read, take a course, learn something new. You know, if we're not learning, we're not growing as human beings. That is one of the things that we have that no other animal on the planet really has, the need to learn. Once we stop learning, we stop growing, we start dying. And that's why so many people are burnt out, they're frustrated, they're stuck in a rut. It's because they're not learning. They've been
Yeah.
told that, and they've also been told that their hobbies are a waste of time. It's not going to make you any money.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I was growing up, I loved art and I absolutely could have excelled at it. But I
Right.
grew up in a small town. It was a farm town, and
Yeah.
there were no such things as art jobs except for teaching art in
Right.
high school or middle school or elementary school. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I, of course, went in business route and did those things. And
Yeah.
and it's not that my parents were not supportive in art,
Right.
but they were just like, it's not going to make you any money, but if you love
Right.
doing it, super, keep it as a hobby. So
Yeah.
at least they said that. But
Right.
so many people I work with, they're like, oh yeah, I used to draw every day and it gave me the so much pleasure. Like, when's the
Wow.
last time you drew? Well, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Why? Well, I don't have time. You have
Right.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
draw a doodle right now, do it.
Yeah.
And they do, and then all of a sudden they start drawing and they start just
Yeah.
expressing themselves again, and it's really being unplugged from the computer, unplugged from TV. You know,
Right.
how many hours of TV do you watch? Well, I don't know, a couple hours. And okay, well, why don't you draw instead? Why don't you play your music? Why don't you listen to your music? Why don't you
Yeah.
do something that you enjoy doing? Learn a new skill.
Yeah. You know, you bring up an interesting point too, is that usually the things that we enjoy that we can't figure out on how to quote unquote make that money, or you know, for a living. And you brought up art, and it's really amazing. I just within the last couple of weeks that I had one lady that I met, she's actually in Brazil, helping buy and sell art, and makes a really good living at it, you know.
Yeah.
And so for us to figure out the how, it's really not our job. We're just supposed to figure out what we want, and we'll be the father does the work, if you will, and we'll be able to discover then the next step in order to make that money. I have another lady that she just was burnt out with her profession, with work, kind of exactly what you were saying there. And I asked her, you know, what do you love? And she goes, well, I love yoga and I love to paint. And so we got in that same discussion about painting. And next thing you know, I told her, my counsel to her was, I don't want you to do this work anymore. I don't want you to do your job at all, and just do these two things just for a week. And so she did. And in that week, she was happier and happier. That rose her point of attraction and vibration. And she got more business. And at the same time, she was really happy and painted a painting that she sent me. And it was like, oh my God. So, you know, there's such joy, and there's always an answer there on how to do it. Well, that's fabulous. So it's relationships, it's about learning. Is there what else is in your model?
Yep. So we've got the build the relationships, unplugged, community. Being involved in your community is one of the biggest things. Another one of the biggest happiness indicators is people that have been giving back. So if you're a senior, I know you have real estate followers. So if you're a senior realtor, they love teaching younger realtors, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are happy, the ones that aren't, maybe they don't. The attorneys I know, I'm an attorney, I do estate planning and probate, which is why I just was attracted to this. I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is awesome. I talk about death all the time. Let's talk about bringing happiness before you die instead of we died. And that's all there is to it. So yeah, putting an estate plan together is usually on people's bucket list. They don't really call it on their bucket list, but putting that plan together to make sure their families stay out of, you know, so sorry, I digressed and went around the corner there. But community involvement, getting involved. And
really, I like your idea of community too. It's not about the community as far as like, you know, thinking just the city you live in or whatever. It could be your business that you're in, or something that, you know, you enjoy doing where you could mentor other people, or something just, you know, in the neighborhood, or being a friendly neighbor, waving hi, having a couple minute chat. So beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we do relationships, we learn, we community, and kind of helping people, and getting joy out of, hey, I have talents and I can share other people. And anything else involved?
Yeah, well, it's 10 letters, so isn't
Oh,
it 10?
okay.
Yeah, so it's the whole thing. We could spend 3 hours talking about it, but
Sure.
I could just go down the list. But
Okay.
it's just more and more of this roadmap to getting to your happiness, and
Yeah.
not all these are going to work for people all the time. And that's why when you mentioned build relationships, I already have good relationships. What do I do? Well, there are some things that we can do to make those relationships even better. Maybe even bring some old relationships back. But if you've already got that foundation, that's fantastic. Maybe you want to skip Unplug. Maybe you want to skip Community. Then you maybe want to go to crazy kid stuff, which is, things that we're not supposed to do as adults, because you're not supposed to jump out of a perfectly good plane.
So number 4 is crazy kid stuff.
Yeah, with a K, of course.
I like that. And how many are there all together that? Because again, it would take hours. Why don't you share with me the 8 or 10?
I'll go through them. I'll just give you the categories.
And then we'll kind of pick up on some fun ones to talk about. So
perfect.
Number 5 is what?
Yep. So then we have exercise and challenges.
Okay.
That's the E, and the T on bucket is travel and adventure.
Okay.
And then the L on list is leave a legacy, and that's where I really tie it into estate planning and it can be anything from estate planning to leaving your family cookbook. That's leaving a legacy. I have a couple. I have one from each side of my family.
Wow.
It's family recipes. So
awesome.
That's great.
And number 8?
I is insecurities and fears. And the S is start, stop, and do more. And the T is toys, treasures, and timber.
Yeah, that's great. What fun. So out of the 10, which is the one that you love the best?
Yeah, so I have been on a huge exercise and challenge kick in the last year. Well, it started about 2 years ago, and I had a pretty bad car accident, so I had to take some time off, and I'm on my 52nd week of a 52-week body transformation course.
Congratulations.
Taking online, and I am in the best shape of my life.
Wow.
That includes my 20s, and I was in pretty good shape then.
Wow.
I've never lifted as much weight. So I got it. So here's the exact numbers. So before I started this training program, I had never bench pressed. That's guys, how much you bench? That was never me, right? So I always joked around with those guys, like, how much you bench? And they're like 225, 250. I had never benched over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Even in my 20s, when I played rugby, I played football.
Wow.
So I was an athlete, but I never got strong. I didn't have strength training.
Yeah.
Well, I hit 205 a few months ago, and just yesterday, I did 225, 6 reps. I probably could have got 7, but I was so excited that I got 6 because my goal was 3.
Oh my God.
And I did 3 sets at 225, which is, for me, it's like, are you kidding me? I didn't do that when I was 20. So when I say I'm in the best shape of my life, I really am. So.
That's awesome, and congratulations on that. And so that's the exercise one. When I look down the list, the crazy kid stuff for sure is
that's for sure one of my
top of my just sounds like fun, and I take pride in acting like a kid and come to me as children, and I love doing that. And the other one, I like the what's number 8 again? It's something in fears. What's the
insecurities and fears? So
I see. Okay.
Insecurities from the I. So when we conquer our fears, we can get over so much. Number one fear in life is public speaking.
Right.
I had a death. What? And I have to remember back to the first time I did a speech in front of 300 people.
Yeah.
I was terrified, actually, absolutely terrified.
Me too.
And now I love it. It's just, it's incredible. When we just came back from COVID, I did a presentation in front of about 25 people, and I was like, I'm a little nervous. I haven't done a live presentation in a long time.
It's fun.
But it was fantastic. But once you get over that fear.
Yeah, and so tell me, what do you do? So if you have a fear, and really there's fears that people have that they don't really understand their fear.
Right.
They have a fear of financial fear. Okay, not enough money. They have
that
fear of relationships, being a PP, what I call a people pleaser, and so they're fear. Gee, I hope that they like me, if you will. That and so what do you typically like? What's the process on? So I identify what my fear is, and then how do you help people with that?
Good. I've got two fantastic examples. One was a gentleman who's in one of my programs, deathly afraid of heights, like wouldn't even look over the edge of a building with the window.
Wow.
And we tied that to a nonprofit, so a fundraiser. So that's the community. So we tied a couple of them together, and they were it's Gilda's Club of South Florida. And they do an over the edge. So you rappel over the edge of a 17-floor building.
Wow.
And it's a fundraiser. You have to raise $1,000 to be able to do it. Right.
Wow.
So he really wanted to do it, but he wanted the reward at the end, and he was terrified. And we got through it, and we said, okay, why are you afraid of heights? He's like, I don't know. Well, do you want to do this to support the charity? Well, yeah. Okay. So we attach a why.
Yeah.
When we have a strong why of what we want to do, we can get over some of these insecurities and fears.
Very
so
good.
if I want to do a public speaking event and I'm afraid to do that, but I know that my message is going to impact 10 people, 100 people, then you can get over that. As long as your why will pull you through it. If you don't have a strong why, you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
The other one that I think is just fantastic, especially because you said fear of relationships.
Yeah.
One of my participants in another program we did, we put together these vision board things, bucket list boards, and she had this fear of relationships. So we went through and we found some pictures of her getting married, or not her getting married, but people with wedding dresses and things like that. And wouldn't you know, 4 months later, she meets the man of her dreams, and now they're married. It's like a year and a half later. Yeah. So I do pat myself on the back for that. I may have not had anything to do with it, but it was in her vision now. Yeah. Now she could see that, and she had a strong desire. Her why was definitely there. Yeah. But just getting over that hump of actually admitting, and that's part of it too, with fears, insecurities and fears, admitting a fear and then facing it. And that's really what can propel a lot of people through it. And then I have the suck it up buttercup. So we had kids wrestle when we were, they were growing up. Their kids were wrestlers. And that was just one of the things the parents yelled at the kids if they were like pouting, or if they lost the point, or if they got hurt. If there's no blood, there's no foul in wrestling. So get a strong cross arm, and they have like, suck it up buttercup. It's really just get over it. There's I'm not a compassionate coach. It's more of a fun. We're fun, but and I'll hold your hand for a couple things, but usually it's just suck it up, buttercup. Let's go.
Yeah, and so I love those techniques, and the one that my favorite on fear is that I'm very connected to divine intelligence and to archangels, and so Archangel Michael, that who I'm also an ordained minister, and when I was getting my ordination ceremony, that I could feel his presence, and then immediately after the ceremony, I was walking down the stairs, and two people approached me and they said, "Wow, you had Archangel Michael with you." You know, like these people were real connected and are real connected, and so that it was really great. But in my relationship with him, that he is through the energy, has shared with me that the primary reason why we as human beings aren't where we're as happy as we can be, as joyful as we can be, is because of our fears. And again, we don't even recognize their fear, that it's just so ordained, in us on how we do it. And so his main purpose is to help rid humanity of fear. And so I actually channel Archangel Michael in, and for people that to be able to address that, and he literally releases the fear. So it's another another way in order to just help people become their greatest possibility. So Marty, with that to kind of wrap it up, that what would you like to share with us on what would be the most helpful thing to share with us on how we can really, lead a happier life, achieve our bucket list, whatever? What is your wisdom, my friend?
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. Write your goals down, whatever they are: personal, professional, financial, community goals. Write them down. Write them down every day if you can. Twice a day if you can. Write them down if you're having a bad day. Write them down if you're having a bad minute. Don't dwell in the past, live in the present. And when you have your goals written down, if you don't do anything about them, they're not going anywhere. So positive thoughts plus positive actions equal positive results, which bring more happiness, more meaning, satisfaction, and purpose in life. And isn't that what we all want?
That is beautiful, Marty. That is beautiful, and absolutely. And we certainly appreciate your wisdom. That how can people get a hold of you?
They can. Instagram is one of the easiest things. If you just type in bucket list and then Marty Elberg or Marty Elberg, and mine, I think I'm the only one on there. So MartyElberg bucket list, and I pop up. Or I've got a bit.ly thing if you want me to give that. It's
sure.
bit.ly.com/M ARTY ELBERG, and that'll take you. And you can actually grab a copy of the bucket list roadmap for free. Just have to sign up for a masterclass when I run them. You'll get notification of when I do those, and it's a free masterclass. It's not no charge for it.
Okay. And what's it called? Free bucket list?
Bucket list roadmap. For the bucket list roadmap. Yeah.
Got it. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. That we all love that exchange of energy, and giving like that free bucket list. That's just awesome, and we sure appreciate you being on and helping us to better understand on how to have a better life and the steps in order to do it. And you're awesome. And so get a hold of again, Marty, and I love that Instagram on your under bucket list and his name, and you can see his name right there on the screen. So with that, everybody, we thank you so much for joining us today. Marty, thanks so much for all your wisdom and your kindness and your love that you're giving to us and the world. You're amazing. And know that you can have and be and do everything that you desire. And it's all a matter of realizing it and starting to think about what you do want versus what you don't want. And this is Dr. Hank. Thank you so much. Marty, again, thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.